Okay, so good morning. So in the last class, we were looking at finite state transducers, right? Or basically, the overall picture is we have been looking at morphological parsing, and in morphological parsing, what we said is we read the input, say words like this, and convert them into say their stem part as well as the corresponding morphological features. So that is what a morphological parser does. And in order to design a morphological parser, we said we need to give information about the lexicon or the dictionary, which is stored as a finite state transducer. Similarly, so the information about lexicon as well as morphostatic information is stored in a finite state transducer. And similarly, we also saw that for every orthographic rule, E-insertion rule is what we talked about. There, we design one finite state automata. Say something like this. This is the finite state transducer which we talked about for E-insertion rule. Similar to this, if you have other orthographic rules, then you have to design finite state transducers for all the orthographic. Okay. Now this FST1 to FSTN represent the finite state transducer for each of these orthographic rules. Okay. So that is the information which we provide the morphological parsing. Now how does the morphological parsing take place? Actually we combine the two FSTs. So we said an FST is actually a two tape machine, right? So in this state, that is for the lexicon FST state, it reads this input and produces this output. Similarly, for the next FST state, it reads this input and produces the Fox's output. That is, you can talk about it in this direction, downward direction or even upward direction. Either way, it's the same. Okay, but generally when we talked about understanding words, the input we talk about is foxes is read as the input by the FST and you generate this particular intermediate output, and this is read by the lexicon FST and you generate what is known as the stem and the other morphological features. But it is easier for us to understand in the downward direction, so we will talk about that in the downward direction. Okay. So this is the overall picture of the morphological parser. It has two finite state transducers, and each of these finite state transducer is a two-tape machine. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it is a two-level morphology system used for parsing or generating. It could be either. Parsing is in the upward direction and generating is in the downward direction. The lexicon transducer maps between the lexical level with its stem and morphological features and generates the intermediate level that represents a simple concatenation of morphemes. Then a host of transducers, several transducers, each representing a single spelling rule constraint, that is the orthographic rule, all run in parallel so as to map between the intermediate level and the surface level. Okay, surface level is the input level which we earlier talked about. Okay, so that is the overall picture, and this is a more detailed picture. Okay, how does each of these, this T lex is the FST corresponding to this mapping, and we designed it in earlier class. This is the actual FST, okay, called T lex. Okay, it's a lexicon which contains only 4 words here, but the actual lexicon should contain all the words. Okay, so if we look at this, look, we are talking about generating the words from the lexical input. Okay, so this is our initial input. So initial input F is given as input. So in zero state, if it takes F as input, it is transitioned into 1. And in 1, if you take O as the input, you can see this is our input, right? O is being read and the output generated is again O. What is on top is the input, what is down here is the output, right? And you transition to state 2. State 2 and about. Any next is X is the input, and X is the input also you transition to state 5. Okay, so you transition to state 5 and generate X. Now what happens? Now the next input is pleasant. So here the next input is pleasant, right? Plus n does not generate, it generates epsilon, which means it does not generate any output. So plus n is red, and you move on to state 6. Okay, you move on to state 6, but no output is generated. So output still remains here. And then, so you in state 6, what is the input you read? You read plus PL. Okay, so plus PL means you transition to 7 and you generate this particular output. Thus you have this end of morpheme symbol or cap symbol followed by the plural S and the end of word hash symbol. Okay, so look, this is what is generated, and then you go to the acceptance state, that is for the lexicon. Okay, now the next state is you have another FST here, TE insert. We are only looking at one orthographic rule in this case. So for this particular TE insert FST, the input is the intermediate and the output is the surface. Okay, so this is the actual FST which we are talking about. So in state Q0, that is a start state, you come across F, right? So we know only if you come across Z, S or X, you are transitioning to Q1. Any other symbol is you are actually transitioning to the first state itself. So you have, you on reading F as well as O, you are remaining here itself. Okay, that is after reading F, you go to state 0 itself. O also you go to state 0. On reading X, look, you are transitioning to 1 and outputting it also. Okay. So here on reading X, you're transitioning to 1. Now what happens? Now you're reading this cap symbol. So what happens? In state Q1, when you're reading the cap symbol, you're transitioning to Q2, but you're not generating any output. Okay. So which means in state 2, you're reading this input, and what happens is you don't have any output. Nothing is generated. Okay. And so you move to Q2, and in Q2 it generates an E on no input reading. Okay, Q2, now it's in Q2. What happens is you're not reading any input here. The input again remains here itself, but you're transitioning to 3 and generating E signal. Okay, so that is what you to Q3 you go. Then now you read an S. Okay, S read you transition to 4 and generate an S, and finally when you read a hash, you actually transition to 0, which is an acceptance state. Okay, so this is how our actual morphological parser, that is in reverse, works. Now, okay, now why we are not talking about actual, we talked about generation of the surface symbols from the lexical input. The reverse is also possible with the same morphological parser, but reverse is actually little more complicated to understand, because see, parsing is more complicated than generation because of the ambiguity problem. Okay, you can have ambiguities, right? Suppose you are reading foxes. Foxes, that is the example which we saw here. From surface level, you are reading, the morphological parser is reading foxes, let us say. Now what happens is foxes can be a noun in plural or a verb. There is an ambiguity associated with it. Say foxes can be a verb. It is the trickster foxes me every time. Foxes here means right? So fox, it is fox plus verb plus third person singular. This is what has to be generated. But foxes can be a noun like this. That is fox noun plural. Okay, but there is an ambiguity associated with it, so it is little more difficult for us to understand. So what can be done? Okay, for ambiguous cases of this sort, transducer is not capable of designing. Transducer does not have the capacity to decide. Okay, so disambiguity, that is removing the ambiguity, will require some external evidence such as surrounding words. So unless you know that is this foxes is preceded by, let us say, the, what do you call this, the noun phrase, right? In that case it is a verb, otherwise it is not. So unless you know information about the surrounding words, we will not be able to disambiguate. Okay, so The best our transducer can do is just enumerate the possible choices. So whenever a word like foxes, which is multiple meanings, is encountered, then what can be done is the transducer can generate both these uh, morphemes or both these lexical outputs. Right, that is what it can do. And it is in the later stage, by looking at the context, it can decide which one is the appropriate. Okay, so that is all about morphological parsing. So morphological parsing, we said, is actually taking the input and transforming into this lexical state, which can be used in later stages of the natural language understanding system. Okay. Uh, Now, but this morphological parser is actually very useful in natural language understanding systems. But in certain systems like information retrieval systems, say like in a web search, okay, you might give a query like this, say marsupial, kangaroo, koala, and അങ്ങനെ search keywords can be given, right? So marsupials is all the animals belonging to the category of kangaroo and koala. Okay, might not match the keyword marsupial because it has an S here. So you need to do a stemming part. So what we said is it can be done by a morphological parser, but it is a very heavy system. That is, it involves a lot of logic, right? So in such cases, a full FST morphological parser is not used, but what is known as a stemmer is used. And the most commonly used stemmer is called Porter stemmer, which is actually a series of simple cascaded rewrite rules. Say, for example, say 8 here, this can be replaced with an 8. You know, say relational can go to relate for stemming, right? Motoring can be replaced by motor. But the issue is sometimes errors can be generated because of it, which do not have the same meaning. Say, for example, this Porter stemmer for organization, when it stems, it is organ, which has a different meaning, right? Doing and do, generalization and generic, numerical and numerous, both have different meanings. Policy and police, have different meanings, right? So such errors can result when you base stemming on simple rules. Okay, that is commonly used stemmer. Okay, another term which we need to be familiar with when we talk about NLP is word and sentence tokenization. So tokenization, we know, is segmenting text into words and sentences. Generally, we use white space as a separator, but such a simple logic will result in errors like this. Say, for example, if we have this is the text which we want to do a tokenization. Okay, so segmenting purely based on white spaces will produce errors like this is actually a token, sentence followed by a full stop, because look, this is the token which has been generated here. Okay, sends followed by full stop. So that is not a valid token, right? Similarly, neo or can be two different words according to the simple stemming algorithm which we mentioned. Or rock and roll can be different words, although they aren't. So generally, tokenizers are based on machine learning algorithms, which right now we are not going to talk about. Uh, but I just have included some tokenization code based on Python using NLTK, as the NLTK is a library which is very commonly used in the case of natural language. It's called natural language toolkit, natural language processing common ആയിട്ട് use ചെയ്യുന്ന library ആണ്, and it has functions for word and sentence tokenization. So if you look at this is the input, and you can call this word tokenized function, and you get correct tokenized output, and this is based on machine learning techniques. Okay. Similarly, here, this is actually from NLTK.tokenize import sentence tokenize, which is a function, and you have the correct sentence being generated. Okay, so I just put it here because you can just try out these. You can use Google Colab for doing it. So I think we'll stop with this today.